Hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of Next Man Up, where we have average guys sharing their average takes on all professional sports. I'm your host, Matthew Russo. Today, we are diving into a little bit of what happened last night on Monday Night Football. We have a guest here today for us for the first time ever making his appearance, Marcus DeFelice. Marcus, say hello to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Very happy to be here.
We are really happy to have you on, Marcus. We've been meaning for this to happen for a little bit, and we're glad we got this together.
Thank you.
Let's get right into it. The Pats played the Bills last night. I mean, play is a relative term. They kind of lost by a lot. What did you think? It didn't look great for any Pats fans. I don't think last night. It was not a good result for them, regardless of the loss.
No, that's true. Watching the game, it wasn't pretty. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't really enjoy watching the game. That being said, the Bills are a good football team. They're a playoff caliber football team. Not only that, they're right now the second seed in the AFC. So very, very strong football team there. But the Patriots, they got a lot they got to figure out. For starters, and it was the same thing when Brady was there. I think they got to get Cam some weapons. We don't have any wide receivers. They're all no names. And obviously the Patriots are the kings of turning a no name wide receiver into someone who appears to be an all-star. But I really just think that they gotta give him some weapons. With that being said, I don't think Cam has looked good all season. I saw a stat last night that said Josh Allen has thrown more touchdowns in Gillette Stadium than Cam Newton has. And sadly, that's very true. Allen has 4, Cam only has 2. And, they have his legs. But other than that, he just hasn't looked good throwing the ball. And I know he doesn't have any receivers to throw to, but I really just think that, Cam, he just hasn't looked good. So I would like to see them build some weapons around Cam in the upcoming season. And, I think them losing that game to the Bills, since they're already out of the playoffs, wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Get them a little bit of a better draft pick. So hopefully they'll be able to grab some wide receivers, grab a tight end or two. And just kind of build around Cam, because I think then we're going to see if Cam's a right fit for us. And if he's not, then we know to go a different direction. And that's only talking about the offense. Obviously, I think the defense needs a lot of work, letting up 38 points. But I think the offense is the main concern right now.
And hopefully, there's no COVID-19 protocols where the half the defense can opt out. They brought up the stat last night. The Pats had 8 players opt out of the season, which is more than any other team. So hopefully they don't have to go through that nonsense again. It hurt the Dolphins a little bit as well. Just to throw this in before I open the floor to everyone about the game, they had their receiving corps already crap as it is. Kind of, they have like one solid wide receiver, and the 2 that they recently signed opted out because of COVID-19. So it kind of screwed them in terms of like any sort of weapons besides the Parker that they could use. But now open the floor, guys. What do we think about the Monday night game?
Well, I don't think there's really nothing else more to say. I think Marcus really hit the nail on the head there. The Patriots unfortunately need to totally revamp the offense. Tom Brady is just not there anymore. He brings a level out of players that not many quarterbacks can do. And Cam Newton just is not Tom Brady. And I think, like Marcus, he's got his legs, but his throwing mechanics just look horrible. He seems very lost. The receivers, I don't even know who the heck those people are. I'd feel more confident throwing Connor Ward in there right now. And it's just unfortunate, but honestly, I think the Pats will rebuild and they'll come back strong. But I think you got to give hats off to the Bills. The Bills look great. Josh Allen looks phenomenal, and I think they're gonna. Like I said, they're gonna be in the AFC Championship game with the Chiefs.
Yeah, going off that, I think the Bills look terrific. Honestly, I've been watching them play the past couple of weeks because my 2 cousins are really big fans, so we've been watching all the games. And they look really good. The connection between Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs is among the best in the NFL. And they're playing with a lot of confidence, a lot of momentum. So going into playoffs, I think they're going to be a tough team to beat.
I would say that all 3 of the gentlemen before me have hit it on the head spectacularly. A note of gratitude to not only the Patriots for being a trash heap, but Stephon Diggs for being an animal, because I have won my fantasy league and I am not a laughing stock anymore. Ha ha. But I will say that I believe Josh Allen is one of the most improved players over a season-to-season basis. He looks fantastic. Connor said it the best. Him and Stephon Diggs have an unbelievable connection. And I very much hope that somehow the Bills and the Steelers meet so the Bills can put the kind of hurt they just put on the Pats on the Steelers. And yes, I'm looking at you, Sean, because you'll be going there.
Yeah, Sean shaking his head as soon as I was talking about this. I don't know why you even decide to put yourself through what you did last night, to thinking that for somehow, some way that the Bills were not going to end up with the 2 seed after the game. But you can go if you want.
So, my special needs, but decided to take the Patriots, even though I hate the Patriots, because I thought for once they might actually do something for me. And what a surprise, the one time I need them, they don't come through. I like the Bills because I like Bills Mafia, but I hate the Bills because they beat the Steelers. I can't wait until we play them again so that we can, and excuse my French here, make the AFC East our bitch again, like we have for so long outside of the Patriots. I'm talking to you, Jets fan.
It's low-hanging fruit, man. You can't rip on the Jets. It's the lowest of the low-hanging fruit.
Jets because we knocked them out the last time they got to the AFC Championship game, and it was one of the greatest moments I've ever watched.
One of the greatest moments you've ever watched. Okay.
Ruin their season, ruin their resurgence. But
resurgence? What resurgence? To be honest,
franchise, baby.
Enough. All right, we're not getting on the Jets. It's not what we're here for. I just needed some football gear.
Yes, I think the Bills are a very good football team. I would like to play them again, assuming, of course, that Big Ben has managed to actually figure out how to throw the ball. And interesting thing that I was reading last night, because I was like, wow, the Steelers actually looked like a football team again. What happened? What was the reasoning for this? And it seems that at halftime, there was a bunch of stuff going on in the locker room. Our center was yelling at everyone, telling them that they needed to do better and everything. And Big Ben went over to the receiver corps and he said, look, guys, I just want you to have fun. You look like this is a job. You're not having fun or anything. Just go out there and have fun. And then he also made a big tactical change going from the first half to the second half. It seems during the first half, our offensive coordinator, who I've said all season needed to be fired, was the one calling the plays. And the Colts defense was calling out every single play that we were going to run. Second half, Big Ben said, I'm done with this. I don't want to hear my plays getting called out before I even call the snap. I'm running the offense. Big Ben ran the offense in the second half. And lo and behold, he can actually throw the ball down the field when it's a competent play call.
Yeah, I mean, if you to go back to your point, it's just that that's a great. Honestly, it's an awesome point that if that's really what happened, Ben Roethlisberger makes a great point because if you looked at the game last night, the Bills were having so much fun out on the field. Like, no offense to Marcus, but they were having fun out there. Like the tight end who the blocking tight end scored a touchdown for them last night. Like they were having so much fun out there, and it makes it like it doesn't feel like a job. Maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need to like cheer up, just like don't focus so hard, just like go out and have fun because like it's clearly it works. Like the creativeness and like the Chiefs got bored, so they threw Mahomes out on a 1v1 to like go catch a touchdown. They're trying to have so much fun too, and look at them, they've lost one game. So like maybe that is the way to go.
You guys sound
as a quick response to that, the last time Juju Smith-Schuster had fun on the logo, he got rocked and then beat by the 2-13 Bengals. All right, so I don't want to hear that. And secondly, the Chiefs almost lost to the Falcons in that game. If it didn't come down to Younghoe Koo missing a field goal that he probably wouldn't have missed, honestly, he shouldn't have missed. He's a phenomenal kicker. If it didn't come down to that field goal, then the Chiefs very well may have lost that football game. But I'd like to make a quick point about the Steelers in the AFC. You know, after seeing them lose 3 straight to some subpar caliber teams, you know, my respect for them went down a little bit. But to Sean's point, they have beaten some very solid teams. You know, they have beaten the Ravens, they have beaten the Browns, they have beaten the Colts in a very nice comeback win, and the Colts are a playoff caliber team. I think in terms of the Steelers reaching the playoffs, I think that the next game is going to be extremely telling. They play off against the Browns, if I'm correct on that, right? They play the Browns in Week 17.
I do.
I think that game is going to be very, very telling because the Browns are another playoff caliber team. Somehow found a way to lose to the Jets, but so are the Rams, and the Rams are another playoff caliber team as well. So I don't think there's too much to be said about that game in particular. So I think that the outcome of this game will be very telling for the playoffs going forward.
So I know that you're saying that it's going to be a very telling game. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the Steelers, now that they've clinched the division, they clinched the playoffs a while ago, do you think they actually play the starters in this game, or they've clinched everything, it's looked bad? If what they said is true and Big Ben called the plays, he just did that out of the blue and the offense looked good, do you let them rest and whatever happens? We've had a ton of injuries this season. We don't need any more.
I think they would be – go ahead, Ward. You can go ahead.
Yeah. To answer your question, I think they do play their starters because yes, they clinched the playoffs, but they're still playing for seeding. Because if the Bills lose and the Steelers win, then I think the Steelers are bumped up into the 2 seed, if I'm not mistaken.
We will.
So they're playing for a 2 seed. So I think
the Bills are not going to be resting anyone. They need to win in order to clinch the 2. So they're going to be putting out everyone against the Dolphins. The Steelers are going to need the game, so they're going to put out whoever they need to put out.
No, I agree. I really think it would be stupid not to. And another point on that is that if the Steelers go out there and they lose another game to the Browns, the Steelers will have dropped 4 of their last 5 games. And that is not a very good place to be going into the playoffs. It's just not. Tennessee last year, they went on a very nice win streak. I don't know how many games it was going into the playoffs, and they came into the playoffs hot, and they knocked off a Patriots team that was solid. Anyone with Tom Brady is going to be solid. They knocked off a Ravens team that was smoking hot, Lamar Jackson, the reigning MVP, and they made a pretty good run into the playoffs. So I think that if the Steelers find a way to lose to the Browns, I wouldn't be surprised if you see them go in the first round.
Yeah, well, they better not lose to the Browns because if they do, my Dolphins don't get in. So they better freaking step it up. They better step it up and take the 2 seed, buddy. They better.
The Dolphins get in with a win.
You beat the Browns if you beat the Bills.
What'd you say?
I'm saying this. I will go to Pennsylvania and make sure that they win versus the Browns if you go to Miami and make sure that they win versus Buffalo.
Is the game in Miami or Buffalo?
It's in Buffalo, which does not bode well for the
I'm
Dolphins.
not going up in the snow in Buffalo and going to cheer on the Dolphins. No thanks.
Dude, if you
I
like,
wouldn't worry about the snow.
Bills Mafia will see snow coming, and they will all be set, ready to murder you.
I was literally going to say, you show up in the turquoise, orange, and white. I actually think you're going to get put on a stake and celebrated as an effigy.
I have a breaking news update for the Steelers game. As of about 20 minutes ago, it's looking like, from multiple reports, the Steelers are going to play Mason Rudolph and bench Big Ben.
Oh my God! Are you? So they're taking a knee. They're not even going to try.
That's a terrible call.
Yeah,
that's really bad.
That's a horrible call.
That is a horrible coaching decision.
Yeah,
Garrett season, baby. I can't wait for Mason Rudolph to drop 5 TDs on his head.
Yeah, well, Marcus made a good point, and momentum's everything going into the postseason. And the Steelers, honestly, they need to play this game to figure more things out because they've lost 3 of their last 4. They need this game to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
This is a horrible coaching decision. I understand, Sean, like what you said with that Steelers have been getting injured, and like it's from an injury perspective. You don't want to lose Big Ben. You don't want to lose Claypool. You don't want to lose Juju, and you want to rest the players, but I don't know. I think they're just gonna come out flat, and you don't want to be knocked out the first round of the playoffs. Just not a good look.
My only counter argument to that is Big Ben went through a 3-game lose streak, almost made it 4. It was 3.5 basically with the 21-7 score at halftime, and then out of nowhere, Big Ben just said, "All right, I'm done with this. I'm calling the plays," and all of a sudden they won the half and won the game. So if he can turn it on like that, I'm not really worried about it being like up to him after he doesn't play for the week.
The other thing about that is, yeah, Big Ben stepped it up, but so did their defense. Their defense was on fire in the second half. So
Yeah, they stopped the
and they were so hot because they had that momentum. They were playing well. They built up the confidence. So I think that's very, very important going into the playoffs. You look at the Bills, they're going to go in really confident. You look at the Chiefs, they're going to go in really confident. So the more confident you are, the better chance you have of advancing in the playoffs, in my opinion.
I agree. Why don't we look at the seeding, Max? I think that's pretty important. We got a lot of juicy stuff coming on. Five teams blew clinching chances this past week, so I think we should talk about some of the seeding.
Yeah, stick to the AFC here, but yeah, if they go through with that, it's only worth it if they end up winning the Super Bowl, and I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, so that could be the worst coaching decision in a long time for the Steelers. Moving on, we got the Chiefs at 1, the Bills at 2 right now, the Steelers hanging 3, 2 and 3 up for grabs. And then 4 is up for grabs between the Titans and the Colts if the Titans don't take care of business. And then we have 5, 6, and 7, which is going to be a roulette, boys. The Browns are playing the Steelers, as we've already mentioned. The Ravens are playing the Bengals, who are not looking like the Bungles as of recent. Sean, do not look like the Bungles. They actually look like the Bengals. And then we got the Dolphins going up against the Bills. Rivalry game at Buffalo. Don't know how I feel about it, but I'll open it up to the floor. I guess we could start with the Cleveland. We could start on the Cleveland side of the ball, I guess.
Being that my New York Football Jets beat them last week.
Titans are still not in. They had a chance to wrap up the South.
Wow.
Yeah, good job.
What I have to say about the Browns, it's really going to depend on the COVID protocol. If they are without their top 4 wide receivers, I would venture to say that the Browns are going to look similarly. I don't have a lot of faith in Baker, and I do think the Steelers' defense is above average. They're pretty good, and when they're hot, they are hot, and that does not bode well for the Browns' O-line. And Baker, who tends to make some flaky decisions. I know his stats are, pretty decent this year. He's looking on an upward trend, but I would venture to say the Steelers could have done a very good job and beaten them handily. But now that they're starting Mason Rudolph, I'm not sure. I think this is actually more of a toss-up now. I mean, the line is Cleveland 7.5. But
with the Browns, I think they're going to come into this game trying to prove themselves because everyone's talking about, are they a playoff team because they just lost to the Jets? So I think they're going to come out firing because they want to prove themselves. So I think the Browns are going to beat the Steelers this week and make the playoffs.
Ward, I really hope you're right on that point. I called it from the beginning of the year that I said I thought the Browns were a playoff caliber team. I thought that they were going to bring it all together this year, and I think that they did a decent job of that. With that being said, I think that they've had one of the easier paths to the playoffs in the AFC. I think they've had one of the easier schedules, and when they've been tested with a really solid team, they've had some shaky results. They've lost to the Baltimore Ravens twice. They've lost to Pittsburgh once, and the next game will tell if they lost to them twice. They lost to the Raiders, which I think is a very good football team. But when it comes down to it, in the playoffs, you got to win big games. And I think if the Browns can knock off the Steelers next week, I think that that's going to be a huge win for them going into a playoff picture that has a lot of really good teams. So I'm not sold on the Browns being, a Super Bowl contender yet. But I think a good place to start would be with a win next week.
Yeah. So I think honestly, I can't stand the Cleveland Browns. I hope to God they don't get in. I don't like Baker Mayfield, don't like OBJ. I don't like that entire team, to be honest with you. But they're gonna get in. They're gonna beat the Steelers. I think the Ravens and the Colts will also get in. And Matthew, I think your Dolphins will not make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That is my take.
They
have to play the Bills this week, and it's not going to be a fun matchup.
No,
it's not. Simply not.
That's the toughest game.
You're going against the Bills, who have more confidence now than like the past 20 years combined. So
with Bills Mafia behind them, it's impossible.
Right now in the AFC, especially with the AFC North, there are 4 teams that can possibly get those last 3 spots conceivably in the AFC. and 3 of them control their own destiny. If they win, they're in. The only one who doesn't is the Colts. The Colts need to win and get help to get in. They need one of them to lose.
Yeah,
So
the
it's
Colts
Browns, Ravens, and Dolphins. If they win, they'll
The
round
Colts
up.
are not, they're not losing to the Jaguars, so they need someone to lose because they're going to win that game. They just need someone else to lose.
The only one I could see not losing in realistically, is who are the Ravens playing? They're playing the
Bengals.
Bengals. So like I could see them just easily. They could also just easily take that game and bye Colts. So like, it's gonna be tough to see. I mean, I'm obviously gonna say that because the line for the Bills Dolphins game is so close, it's because for some reason that they think, well, it's a rivalry game. It's an AFC East rivalry game. So when you have 2 teams that are actually competitive around in the league in general, those rivalry games are pretty good. And even when they're not, we've seen the Dolphins and the Pats close games, the Bills, the Jets close games. So AFC East games are usually close. And it's a hot take. It could be a bad one, but it's my team. You got to ride with your team. And the line's only 4.5. So I'm going to say that the Dolphins win by less than 1 score, and it's because Brian Flores outcoaches the entire Buffalo Bills team. Less than 1 score, the Dolphins win.
Does anyone see my face? Does anyone see my face?
I see your face, Nick.
Unfortunately, I do too.
Now, pivoting over to the NFC.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sean.
Thank God. Thank God.
NFC East, baby.
Let's go Giants, baby.
Is the Washington football team going to clinch, or with a loss from them and a win from New York clinches the title and they go in instead of Washington? Well, it's Eagles, Washington, Dallas Giants. I like these 2 games. I'm so happy that it's a division game weekend for the NFC East. I wanted this to happen. I'm very excited to watch those 2 games.
Isn't it awesome how Week 17 always ends up being exciting?
It's great. I love it. But Connor, do you want to go first? Because I have one point I'm going to make.
Yeah, I'll go first. But with the NFC East, I think the Washington football team deserves to be in the playoffs. They deserve to win that division. Everyone else has looked like utter garbage. Washington, although their record is not great, they've played better than anyone else. So I think the Washington football team takes that. And as a Giants fan, I don't want them in the playoffs because I know first round they're going to get clocked. So I think Washington football team is going to take that division.
So I don't think Washington. None of them deserve. They all look horrible. They're all terrible teams. Washington lost to the Giants twice, and the Giants are garbage. No one deserves it. Washington though has the best chance, but Alex Smith needs to be at QB. If he is not, Washington is losing, and either the Cowboys or the Giants are winning it. And honestly, as sick as it sounds, I think the Cowboys can beat the Giants, and I think they might take the division. I hope it's the Giants. I love the Giants, but they look terrible now. I don't know what happened. They were looking good. They look like shit again. We're back to reality.
But it's the Giants. But, I mean, unfortunately, the Giants have been inconsistent. They showed flashes of what I would say is immense talent, and not even with Daniel Jones under center, beating the Seahawks with Colt McCoy under center. Listen, I have to say the Washington football team, although the whole division just deserves to melt away into ash because they're all horrible, the Washington football team deserves it the most. Ron Rivera, Riverboat Ron, he is a great coach. He's turned that franchise around. I like his decision to cut Dwayne Haskins. He's showing that this is going to be moving in a different direction. Alex Smith, obviously, like Connor said, needs to be a QB. I think the Cowboys will probably beat the Giants, and the Eagles are a dumpster fire inside of a trash bag in a landfill. I hope the Washington football team hands their asses to them this Sunday at 8:20 p.m. So let's go Washington football team.
I'm also going to make one more prediction with the NFC playoffs. I'm not really a huge fan of the team, but Big Cat from Barstool, huge fan of this team. He's inspired me a little bit. And my one roommate absolutely loves the quarterback and, in quotes, will not allow slander of this quarterback in our household. So I'm going with the Chicago Bears are actually going to make the playoffs. I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to beat the Packers. Mitch Trubisky is going to beat the Packers. They are going to make the playoffs on Mitch Trubisky's back.
That is a
all right. Hold on. I have to pause everything before we wrap it up. Because we're going to wrap it up here. Is this another segment of hot take or bad take featuring Sean Ulsher? Is it?
Bad, really bad.
Horrible.
I'm going to disagree. I think it's a hot take. I don't think it's a bad take. And let me tell you why. I think the Packers and I have a family member who's a very big fan of the Packers, and he watches their games pretty religiously. You most of know him, his Uncle Bill. I think the Packers are a very solid offensive football team. I think their defense can be gutted like a fucking fish, and I think that the Chicago Bears have shown some offensive prowess in the past couple of weeks. I really think that they've gone out there, and David Montgomery has looked fantastic. Jimmy Graham has come alive, and they've put up a lot of big points the last couple of weeks. So I think it's a hot take. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wouldn't call it a bad take.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. The defense, especially in terms of the run for Green Bay, is like Swiss cheese, so it's not necessarily impossible. But
all right, thank you, Nick. Let's take it away, Matt.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. We're running out of time, but that'll do it for this episode of Next Man Up. Marcus, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad we finally got you on here. It was perfect. We had a great discussion today. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at NextManUp05. Follow our SportsMe. Go get SportsMe. Follow us, Next Man Up Sports Podcast. If you want to hear our voices, check out Anchor. That's where we distribute everything from Spotify and wherever you get your podcasts. But if you want to see our faces as well, go like and subscribe to YouTube. Nick, like and subscribe, please.
Quick one. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Let's go, Washington football team. Like and subscribe.
Thank you, guys. Have a good one.